The human being has the capacity for wisdom, and this is what is talked about as Buddha nature. Buddha nature is the wisdom body. Buddha nature is the wisdom body of great benefit, the wisdom body of great benefit that is indivisible from the vast expanse that is beyond infinite space. And it is that wisdom body itself that emanates the body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities of a wisdom being, whether it's Buddha or any other being. These are not traits that are genetically endowed and then passed from one person to another. They're naturally present in everyone, no matter what one's DNA, so to speak, is. And so, when we rest as awareness, we become familiar with this wisdom identity, this natural identity, this awakened nature, our true nature that is always present within ourselves. And this is really effortless. If you've learned that it's difficult, what you've learned is absolutely incorrect. It is not difficult. What already is present as our natural state couldn't possibly be difficult. And if the practical know-how is present in a teaching, accomplishment of it is very swift. And who's accomplishing what? Well, who cares? Just rest imperturbably, and you'll be more and more loving, wise, and filled with energy. To get into philosophical games and thinking about this and what is this and who did that and who exists and this, that, and the other thing, that's just another point of view. That's another point of view. All points of view are equal. It doesn't matter what they are. Just because we've learned that some points of view are positive and others are negative, and we have to get rid of the negative ones and only have the positive ones, that's just a belief system. It's a primitive belief system. It's really a primitive belief system about who we are as human beings, because beyond all that choosing between good and bad is the perfection of wisdom, perfect wisdom that doesn't choose between anything. It doesn't need to choose between anything in order to be. Do you see what I'm saying? It just is. And it doesn't require thinking about things. So just in the same way a puppy dog acts spontaneously, wisdom is a spontaneous responsiveness to whatever's occurring. It's a naturally occurring beneficial responsiveness to whatever is occurring. So this is what we want when we're trying to get more good points of view and have fewer bad points of view. This is what we're really looking for, isn't it? We really want to be beneficially responsive, and we want to be good people and live our lives in the best way possible. And the way to do that is not through sorting out the points of view. Through sorting out the points of view, maybe we can have some accomplishment in that regard by having more positive points of view. However, if what we want is wisdom, primordial wisdom, fundamental wisdom that is inseparable from the nature of everything, then definitely what we want to do is rest imperturbably and not be selecting all the time between all the points of view. That's a lot of hard work to be like the dog chasing its tail and constantly frustrated and confused with intermittent happiness. So there's happiness, and when we're living a life based on points of view, there may be happiness, and whenever we have that happiness, we think, I've got it. Now I've got my happiness. It's going to be this way from now on. However, it never is. The only inherent happiness there is the happiness that is beyond discriminating between all the thoughts and all the emotions and what they mean and how we got them and how we're going to make them better, and how we're going to get rid of the negative ones. Now, here's another very important matter about these points of view. We cannot hold on to the ones we like, and we can't get rid of the ones we don't like. So it's totally fruitless. Why even go there? It's totally fruitless. All points of view, no matter what they are, because they have no independent nature, they're always resolving spontaneously in, of, as, and through the basic space of awareness. That's all that's ever occurring. They're the dynamic energy of awareness, in the same way that a current in the ocean is dynamic energy of the ocean. So too, all these points of view are the dynamic energy of awareness. And just like the current can't be separated out from the ocean, it'll remain water, always remain the water of the ocean. So too, the dynamic energy of points of view, it has no independent existence of its own. And when we just rest imperturbably, we see that and we stop the grind. We stop the grind of working on all those points of view. It's a thankless task, I'll tell you. And most of us, we learn to do this. We learn to work on all our points of view. And so then when we hear about something as incredible as being an embodiment of timeless wisdom awareness, we think, wow, now I'm really going to have to work on my points of view. If I want that, I'm really going to have to work on my points of view. So what do? We go out and we find someone who agrees with us. We find someone who will say, yeah, you're right. You really do have to work on your points of view. And it might take many lifetimes for you to do that. So when we rest as awareness, we see that every point of view, no matter what it is, has an independent nature. There isn't a single point of view anywhere that has an independent nature. And this includes very big points of view that pervade entire cultures and worlds, like karma. Karma is a very pervasive point of view, and so is sin. Both of these have no existence independent of awareness. There's never been an other within awareness, including any kind of law that somehow rules awareness. This has never been. And when we rest imperturbably, we see that this is so. All the highest teachings of Buddhism, Hinduism, all state the same thing, that there is no karma. So karma is a belief system, and when we believe in a point of view, then we believe in that point of view, and everything that we look at plays out according to that point of view. That's just the way it is. So if we believe in anything, whether it's karma or sin or climbing the corporate ladder or whatever it is, whatever we see is what we get, so to speak. So whatever points of view we're chasing around like the dog chasing its tail, then that's what we'll see everywhere we look. But when we rest imperturbably, we don't have to say, oh, I'm dashing every belief I've ever had. All we do is rest. When the belief comes up, we rest. And in our own experience, we see that all these points of view, no matter how dearly held they are by how many people, that they do lack an independent nature. They really do lack an independent nature. And this is true for all experience, no matter what it is. So if we're talking about sublime realizations or levels of consciousness or whatever it is, each of these is just a point of view. It's not a place to take up residence. No experience, no matter how sublime it is, has an independent nature. It's not some amazing thing to hold on to. If we try to hold on to it, then we'll never know that which is beyond all the different states of consciousness. It's awareness that is aware of consciousness. So we want to go to the root. We want to go to the root. We want to go to the root. Now, maybe sometimes in some traditions, these two are used interchangeably, awareness and consciousness. But most often when consciousness is talked about, in the strictest sense, according to doctrine, consciousness is seen to be the underlying ground of phenomena or points of view or what goes on in the mind. However, there's never been an underlying ground other than awareness. There isn't like a middleman in between awareness and phenomena called consciousness. Do you see what I'm saying? So there is no, in an ultimate sense, there is no aleya, as it's called in Buddhism, or underlying, or consciousness, as it's sometimes called in Hinduism. But Hinduism also has the concept of ultimate consciousness, which could be likened to awareness. So it's important not to get fixed on anything. You can call it whatever you want as long as you know what it is. Do you see what I'm saying? And you can rest as that. Rest imperturbably as that. It really doesn't matter what you call it. Just know that that which is the root of everything is that you want to get familiar with. You want to gain stability in that. And the best approach for doing that is to rest in that, to rest as that equanimity, to rest as that complete relief that is the essence of everything that appears. And in so doing, in an entirely uncontrived way, maybe the first day it might be for an instant that rest is obvious, and that'll grow longer and longer. The more the rest there is in an entirely uncontrived way, the more obvious it'll be at all times. So, yeah, this is what we can count on. If we adopt points of view about who we are, then we'll spend a lot of our life just spinning around within the tail-chasing syndrome. Now, chasing the tail, it's an interesting illustration because it never leads anywhere. It doesn't lead anywhere at all. In other words, there's no satisfaction and fulfillment in it other than the act itself, which is an act that says, I think I may be getting somewhere. But when we just give up and stop chasing after what lacks independent existence, then we really get in touch with ourselves. So this is important. I have a good friend who's a Tibetan Lama and a high Tibetan Lama, although he'd never call himself that, of course. And he's laughing all the time, filled with joy and super completeness. And he said, there are many sublime realizations along the way, which is, a way of saying these are all points of view. It's preposterous to hold on to anything. There are many sublime realizations along the way, but when we rest imperturbably, everything that appears is a sublime realization, not just the states with fancy names like emptiness, non-appearances, no personal identity.